Well, good morning to everybody. This is Ron Sokol. I'm the director and one of the multiple PIs of the CCTSI, and Janine Higgins is with us here. She's the other multiple PI and the director of operations. At the center where we are located for the live version of this webinar, we have some of the other CCTSI leadership, and I will be showing you their pictures as we go along. So this is our first town hall designed to provide the research community here at CU Anschutz and our partnering institutions to provide you with information about current and future plans for the CCTSI. CCTSI was just refunded a couple of months ago by NIH for 7 years. So we've got an exciting future that we'd like to share with you. We have left ample time after my presentation for questions. And at that time, we will ask you to raise your hands, please, and then you can unmute and ask your questions. We're on a typical Zoom meeting, so you can actually speak. We do ask you not to use the chat function, just so that everybody will pay attention. As I said, we will have plenty of time for questions at the end. So I think I'll begin. The CTSA program, or Clinical Translational Science Award program, is an NIH funding program that funds clinical translational science institutes across the country. The institute is the National Center for Advancing Translational Sciences, or NCATS, at NIH, that funds CTSA programs. NIH views all of the CTSA hubs across the country as a national consortium of biomedical research institutions that collaborate to transform how clinical and translational research is conducted nationally and to make an impact. Currently, there's roughly 62 funded hubs. We are called a hub, by the way, and many of them include multiple universities and hospitals, as does ours. So there's probably at least 200 to 300 institutions across the country that are part of this consortium. And CTSAs in general provide local resources. We'll be reviewing most of our resources here in the next 20, 30 minutes, but this includes facilities, research personnel, pilot grant funding, regulatory and informatics support, biostatistics support, community engagement, et cetera. So we will, as I said, go over many of these in the coming slides. So the CCTSI, Colorado Clinical and Translational Sciences Institute, is our CTSA hub. It was created in 2008, funded then by NCATS, and we've been refunded on 5-year cycles ever since. And I'm happy to report that in 2023, the NIH changed this to a 7-year cycle. So we're actually now funded through 2030. There's also substantial institutional support. Some of it's in kind, but some of it is direct funding of our programs. And we thank the Dean of the School of Medicine, Chancellor Elliman of the campus, our two main hospital partners, UC Health and Children's Hospital Colorado, and the provost of CU for helping to support our programs. This institute is disease agnostic, so we are supporting translational science and research no matter what specific disease, organ, or pathology is involved. And as you'll see, that we support faculty and trainees at all levels at 3 universities and 6 hospital partners, and we support multiple resources, which again we'll review. So we have a vision statement for the CCTSI, and that is to accelerate and catalyze the translational of innovative science into improved, equitable health and patient care for all. So that is our goal. We'll achieve this through a variety of mission statements, including catalyzing and enhancing discovery, innovation, dissemination, and translational research across the lifespan, educating and sustaining a diverse translational workforce, promoting and ensuring efficient, safe, collaborative, and integrated research environment for all, and particularly important in this rendering of the CTSA programs nationally, is engaging stakeholders and communities across the translational spectrum and involving communities and community members in all aspects of the research process. Just a few definitions, because NCATS has put forth some new directives that we must promote, and that is the following. They define translation as the process of turning some observation in a laboratory, clinic, or community into an intervention or prevention that will improve the health of individuals and the public. And this can be anything from diagnostics, therapeutics, procedures, behavioral changes, again, preventive medicine, etc. They define translational science as opposed to translational research. So translational science is a field of science that generates scientific and operational innovations to overcome challenges or barriers, or as most of us speak to them as roadblocks, along the translational science pipeline. And these can include scientific barriers, operational, financial, administrative, etc., that we are trying to address so that our research is faster, more efficient, more impactful, and easier for the investigator and their teams. Translational, so it's really about operational improvements. Translational research is actually the specific endeavor to traverse a particular step of the translational process for a particular target or disease. And I think that part is familiar to all of us. This will come back when we talk about our pilot grants, by the way. So in terms of translational research, we view the entire spectrum as part of our domain and wish to support research teams and trainees to become experts in all of these areas, from basic scientific discovery all the way through improved population and global health. Different steps along the way are familiar to many of you. Just wanted to point out that we have added a T0.5, which really recognizes translating a preclinical model, perhaps in a mouth, as basic scientific discovery, into a natural animal model before translating it into first in man. This really recognizes the important contributions of our colleagues at Colorado State University, and particularly their veterinary and biological sciences program, where they have a teaching hospital that sees thousands of dogs, cats, pigs, horses, cows, other domestic animals that have diseases very similar to humans, sometimes the identical biology and sometimes the identical genetics. So it really it enhances our ability to rapidly translate our ideas into an animal that is beyond a transgenic mouse who has a naturally occurring disease which very much resembles humans. So that's what the T0.5 is, and we have several programs to promote that. Very important to recognize that the CCTSI is a partnership among a number of institutions. It's based at University of Colorado Anschutz Medical Center, and our chancellor is the top officer, leader of the campus, but also CU Boulder and University of Colorado Denver downtown are major partners, as is Colorado State University, as I just mentioned. We also have hospital partners, and for this grant cycle, the University of Colorado Hospital and UC Health, Children's Hospital Colorado, the Rocky Mountain Veteran Affairs Medical Center, Denver Health and Hospitals, and National Jewish Health are our main partnering hospitals. There's faculty, trainees, staff, and others at each of these hospitals that take part in our various programs. And I did want to mention that this is not solely a School of Medicine program, but at CU Anschutz, the School of Public Health, Dental Medicine, Nursing, Pharmacy, and the Graduate School are all part of our partners. So we have a large leadership team, as you might imagine. Again, I introduced Janine Higgins and myself to you. Tim Lockey, who is our Director of Finance and Administration, would be here with us today, except he just had a granddaughter born last night. So he and his wife are down there with his daughter. But we have a number of associate directors: Wendy Court, Tel Bennett, and Melissa Hendel, Allison Lakin, Don Neese and Montel Temez, Natalie Sarkova, Lisa Sakudo, and Bethany Kwan and Adit Ginde. I'll be describing the programs that they oversee in a few minutes. Our main CSU contact is Sue Vanderwood, who is now actually the Dean of the Veterinary School at CSU. At CU Boulder, it's Chris D'Souza, and at the VA, Jane Roosh. Important to recognize that our leadership team is 50% female, 50% PhDs, not just MDs, and we have representation among many departments and schools listed there. Our executive committee, which is composed of over 20 individuals, is again majority female and PhD. We actually have 2 community representatives on our executive committee, which is the decision-making body for the CCTSI. And these community representatives represent underserved communities within Colorado. And then again, we have representation from schools, departments, and all of our partnering institutions in our executive committee. So just that word about governance. But for all of you out there, very important that you use our website as your main source of truth and information about the CCTSI. Here's the website address. Easiest thing is just Google CCTSI, and we'll be 1 through 20 or 30 on the hit list. And you can find us very easily that way. This is our home page that we're looking at. Within this home page, I did want to mention that there's a menu list across the top, and if you open each of these up, you'll find anywhere from 5 to 15 or 20 different topics that you can click on and then go to their web page. We've divided into resources, training, funding, opportunities, community engagement, news and events, etc. I did want to point out a couple of other very important aspects about our website. And the first is, if you scroll down on that home page that I just showed you, you will see several tabs on the side. And these are very important. First one is citing our grant. And it's very important for us to have grant citations so that when NIH looks, and they can go on PubMed just like we can, to see whether or not the grant has produced meaningful research, that is publications. If our grant number doesn't appear, NIH won't recognize it as being supported by the CCTSI. So please, you can click this little tab and it gives you a whole page of how to cite our grant. It's very important also for you to know that every 5 years, NIH, when we get a new grant, changes our grant numbers. So please don't look back on a paper you published 10 years ago and paste the grant number into your new manuscript that you're submitting to a journal. Always look on our website for the most recent number. And we now have a UM1 grant, a K-12, and a pre-doc T32 and a postdoc T32. So one way to find those numbers is just to click that icon, or on the bottom of every page of our website, you see the same footer, and here it has the NIH funding with our grant numbers. This is perhaps the easiest way to do it. Also, if you're putting together your own grant application or even a protocol for clinical research, you may need information about our resources, our training programs, our facilities, and here you can find it right here. If you click at the bottom, language for your grant applications, and we have it in a Word document and a PDF to make it easy for you. So please use our website for those particular needs. Also, it is very important to know that to use any of our services, training programs, apply for pilot grants, etc., you need to be a member. And becoming a member is just a means of you signing up to be a member. We don't review applications. And if you click that button, it'll take you 1 to 2 minutes to just fill out, type in your name and your division. There's menus that we have to make it as easy as possible. But this is important for us to track who we serve, which divisions, departments, schools, campuses are involved in translational research. And also we ask a certain demographic, race, ethnicity questions with which NIH is very interested in knowing the diversity and inclusion of the, again, population of investigators and trainees that we serve. You always have the option not to fill that out if you'd like, but we encourage you to fill that out. So please become a member so you can utilize this. And then finally, I just wanted to point out that there's a button to find a researcher. And this will link to Colorado Profiles, which is a web-based search engine, kind of like Google, for our biomedical and biobehavioral researchers at any University of Colorado campus. And it's very easy to use. There's a tutorial here that you can click on in the left margin if you need it, but basically just type in a keyword, or you can type in the name of the person, or you can type in an institution, variety of different options. But once you type it in and hit send, you will get a list of investigators who work on certain research projects. If you put in a keyword, if you put in a name, you'll get their home page. All of you have a home page if you're at the university, whether you know it or not, and you can edit it here on the left, very easy, edit my profile. This information on the top comes from our system on campus with your phone number and your name and your email, etc. I added my ORCID ID, but you can also then add your biography, honors, your research interests, etc. If you scroll down further on your own home page, there is an instant feed from NIH for NIH funding. So it'll list all of your NIH past and present grants. And really importantly, there's a PubMed feed once a week that will upload all PubMed articles that have your last name and initials attached to it. If there's papers that are listed as yours, but there's somebody else with your same name and initials, you can then delete that paper, and the algorithm built in will then delete all other papers that aren't yours, but by that other author with the same name. So you can create a list of all of your publications that is up to date from PubMed in one place. And this is searchable from any place on the World Wide Web. So it can be seen by anybody. The other thing I wanted to mention is there's some networking functions, social networking on the side, where you can look at your own network based on concept that you study, who your co-authors are, and others. And here's just some examples. You can do this social cluster diagram. I think I'm in the middle there. This shows you who my major co-authors are and how I interact with other people on campus. This is all at the university. You can also click on this timeline button for your publications and actually see your entire career condensed into one graph. It's really heartwarming to be able to see that, but here I am. And this tells you year by year, each blue dot is a publication. Here's the concepts. You can do this with co-authors as well. And the red dot here is kind of the median. So you can kind of see how your whole career has progressed and what you're currently publishing on, etc. Again, you can see this about yourself, but you can also look at it for anybody else who's got a profile. And lots of other functions. So we do encourage you to use it. Wonderful way to use keywords to find collaborators, to find somebody who might do an assay. You could type in the assay and see what comes up, to find mentors. And I can tell you students from all over the world use this to determine whether or not they want to come to our campus or whether they want to contact somebody on our campus to be a collaborator or mentor. So let's just go through some of our major resources, and particularly the ones that are most popular. And I would say our clinical translational research centers, we call them CTRCs, are among those. These have been around for many years. These are our clinical research units. And we have 3 adult units, one at the Anschutz Health Science Building, one at National Jewish, and one at CU Boulder. And then there's a pediatric one located at Children's Hospital. These have either outpatient and inpatient or just outpatient facilities. The very important thing for you to know as an investigator is we do not charge for space, so that you do not get a room charge unless it's an industry study and industry sponsored clinical trials, they may get charged for the space. We have expert research nursing. So these are not study coordinators, but these are actual nurses, RNs, who are really expert at helping you facilitate infusions, specimens, collecting data, et cetera. And we do have mobile teams of nurses available at some of our institutions to go to the ICUs, to the emergency department, to the operating rooms, et cetera. We have a metabolic kitchen and a whole room calorimeter body compositional unit that Janine Higgins also oversees. We have adult vascular ultrasonography, echo, liver elastography, and a massive exercise physiology unit next door to the CTRC at the Anschutz Health Sciences building that Wendy Court oversees, and there's her picture. We also have core laboratories at each of these institutions, and those perform assays on specimens that are not normally available in the standard hospital laboratories. We provide these at cost to investigators, and we probably have over 200, 250 different assays. All of that's on our website. There's a price list, and it tells you which of the different core laboratories do the individual assay. We try not to duplicate between these core laboratories. Finally, we have a program where we provide micro grants, we call them, to junior investigators, early stage investigators. We will provide them with up to $10,000 per year, up to 3 years for an individual project. And these funds ideally are used to buy our services for the CTRCs so that they can get their clinical research done. Fellows generally don't have funding available to pay for research nursing or some of the core laboratory tests. So these $10,000 per year per study are for that. For everybody else, we have subsidized pricing for investigator-initiated studies, NIH studies, foundation studies, and we try to keep the prices as low as possible so that it would fit within an NIH budget. But this is where some of our institutional support goes to help subsidize the prices for these very important studies. And finally, at any given time, we have roughly 300 studies ongoing at these 4 CTRCs, and generally over 15,000 study visits per year. Many of these visits are entire 8-hour visits or overnight visits. Some are simply blood draws, but there's many much more complicated research procedures that really this is the only place on campus or at the hospitals where you can get those done. So we encourage you to look into using our units. We have a wonderful video posted on our website that walks you through a couple of our units, and we're always available to answer questions. Our pilot grant program. As always, the pilot grant program is the most popular program because we actually hand you money to do your research. We have 5 different programs. One's called Colorado Pilot, our main program. We have a child maternal health focusing on those populations, the CMH. We have community engagement pilots, which have to involve a community organization or member along with an academic partnership. We have a pilot program for development of new methods. And finally, we have a program between CU and CSU, a collaborative award, which requires PIs from both institutions, any of the CU institutions, and the funding comes from both CSU and CU. It's $900,000 per year is roughly available for our pilot grants, and you can see listed there the different categories and the dollar amounts for each. And Natalie Zirkova and Kristen House, one of our administrative team, do an absolutely stellar job in organizing this program. I did want to mention that yesterday was the deadline for most of these applications, but given the snowstorm and the cold weather, et cetera, some of our campuses have actually been closed the last couple of days. So we're going to extend the submission deadline till tomorrow at 5 p.m. So that anybody out there knows of somebody who really wanted to submit, but they couldn't get into their computer system or whatever, we're giving them a couple of more days to be able to submit. Our community engagement health equity program is really now known across the country because of many of our individual programs. Don Neese and Montel Temez oversee that. Oh, thank you. Don's in the Department of Family Medicine. We have numerous ways to engage community members, community organizations, and train investigators on cultural competency, how to partner with a community member organization, how to listen to communities, how to build trustworthiness, many of the very important attributes to be a successful community engaged researcher. So we have a program of research liaisons that live in the communities, usually around a dozen people. These are all underserved, underrepresented communities across the state, historically underserved communities. We have an immersion training program whereby we put a half a dozen young investigators into the community that they want to do their research. They actually spend time in the community. A CRL shows them around, and they get a whole variety of trainings for a year. Almost everybody has gone through that. Has said it's been the most important experience yet to that point in their career. We now have research readiness certification for community-based organizations, a new program. We also do community engagement consults. We have a specific pilot program that I just mentioned. And then we have a couple of other things listed at the bottom. So again, I encourage you to go to the website and make contact with Don, Montel, and their whole team if you're a community engagement researcher. I do want to mention we work closely with ACCORDS, the Adult and Child Center for Health Outcomes and Delivery Science Research on campus. And we try not to duplicate programs, but collaborate, particularly in the community engagement area. And we're going to be working with the new Center for Health Equity on campus as well to coordinate research programs with them. We have a very robust translational informatics program that's now overseen by Melissa Hendel. Tel Bennett was our former director. We operate the REDCap instance on campus that you probably all used but didn't even realize was a CCTSI resource. So if you use REDCap, it actually is legitimate to cite our grant. We don't insist on it, but you should cite our grant because we provide all of the support to REDCap. And currently there's over 9,000 users, there's over 6,000 active projects. It really has transformed our ability to do HIPAA compliant research using a web-based database that I'm sure you're all familiar with. We also have major involvement in Health Data Compass, the enterprise-wide research data warehouse. Melissa actually oversees that team right now. We run Colorado Profile, CCTSI Scheduler, and other software systems to promote your research. And then finally, we're involved in the data delivery and cohort discovery using Trinetics and ACT, accrual clinical trials, and other formats. Our education programs, NIH now calls this workforce development, but we like the term education, training, and career development, are really, again, some of our most popular and important programs for the campus. Lisa Secuto does an incredible job organizing a very large team of educators who oversee these different programs that I'm going to briefly mention. So we now have both a pre and a postdoctoral T32 training program in clinical sciences. I encourage you to look at the website for deadlines and details, but this is part of our new grant renewal. Our clinical sciences graduate program was one of the first in the country, if not the world, and we offer PhDs, masters, and a certificate. This is one of the only programs that actually charges tuition because it's a degree granting program. Virtually everything else is free of cost. We now have a K-12 replaced our KL2 research scholar program, and this gives you up to 3 years of typical K award support. The idea is to nurture individuals to submit their own K award. When they get their own K award, then we give this slot to the next person in line. Ellen Burnham runs that program. We have a mentor training program that trains both mentor and mentee that Greg Austin has run for years. Fantastic program. A new leading and teaming program that combined our leadership training called Lights in past years with our team building program that Jenny Cross from CSU runs. She's a social scientist who studies teams and leading, etc. We just started it this year, and we've got our first cohort cooking. We also support Ann Libby and the Clinical Faculty Scholars Program. Again, a fantastic program, initially for health services researchers at an early stage in their career. Now they've expanded that. We also are intimately involved with the various types of training and education programs put on by Allison Lakin's office and others for clinical research staff personnel and coordinators. And then finally, we support slots in the summer undergraduate minority programs that Dominic Martinez, in the Vice Chancellor of Research, the Vice Chancellor of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Community Engagement, Regina Richards, in her office. So we collaborate with them to help support very young, eager people who we hope to entice to go into our type of research. And we have other programs, among which are again, very popular pre-K and pre-R or K-to-R grant review programs. We have mock study sections that give you a full NIH type review if one can get their grant ready 6 weeks before the NIH deadline. We have now added a pre-F 32 pre-F award program, grant review program. And again, Ariane Thies and Paul McLean and Maggie Weirman oversee these programs. They do these mock study sections 3 times a year, again, 6 weeks before NIH deadlines. Actually, study sections aren't 6 weeks. The deadline to submit to them is not we have the investigator attend the study section. There's Q&A. They get a full written review. It's extremely helpful. And then we also have information that's also very helpful for K applicants. And I really want to direct them to our website about what they should include in their K application. There's letter templates, etc. Aligned with that, but separate, is something called Research Studio Program. And this is a program where we will put together an expert panel of 3, 4, 5 individuals, usually senior individuals on campus, to provide targeted advice about some research project, question, conundrum that an investigator is having. These are 90-minute sessions. The investigator gives a brief summary, and then this group discusses it and provides very valuable input. This is perhaps most useful to help investigators who are thinking about specific aims for a grant or strategies that they may use for a grant application. But this group will tackle virtually any question posed to them. And many believe these research studios really help them to get their grant funded and get their ideas honed down. So please look at the website for the deadlines. This is held a number of times during the year. And finally, with this type of educational program, we have an innovative core program, or I-Core. This is really a short course over a couple of weeks that's designed for teams of faculty, staff, or students who have a discovery or health innovation product that they want to look into. Should we try to bring this to market or not? So this teaches them customer discovery methods. This is very helpful if you think you want to start a startup. This is not startup training, but this gives you the pre-startup knowledge that you need, and you can really test your business model for whatever technology idea or product that you might want to develop, including software. So Kathy Bodine and the College of Engineering, and a fantastic innovator herself, oversees this program. And anybody, again, who's thinking about developing a product, go ahead and look at the website, and we encourage you to sign up for I-Core. The latest of our programs is a special program called Communicating Your Science to the Public. This was designed primarily because of the misinformation that was out there during COVID, and the fact that many of us in academics don't really know how to dumb down our science to make it something that anybody in the community will understand, to again communicate in a much more effective way. So Camilla Sasson put the program together. There's 3 separate workshops. Wendy Meyer, our Director of Marketing and Communications for CCTSI, is now overseeing it. You can see what the workshops are focusing on. And I can tell you, when we announce that we have the next session open, usually it fills up in like 20 minutes. So there's a great need for this, a big desire. Anybody on campus can sign up for this, so please be aware of it. And then finally, we interact with the Trial Innovation Network. This is something that NCATS funds on a national level. They fund 3 or 4 sites that they call Trial Innovation Centers, or TICs, to provide advice to investigators who want to design and submit for funding a multi-site clinical trial. And this can be funded by NIH, can be funded by other agencies, can be funded by industry, but they have really incredible expertise to help guide one through the whole process. And you can even hire them at the end to help run some of these aspects of your research. You can request a single service, such as I need help with central IRB, for instance, or the whole study life cycle can be requested. And again, Adit Ginde, who's got vast experience in clinical trials, is our liaison to this network. Elson she's the Associate Vice Chancellor for Research Compliance and other things on campus. Her support center has a variety of functions, everything from FDA submissions through training for startup business management, device and drug management advice. They oversee Encore, the clinical trials management system, and now some new participant recruitment initiatives. And we have Ben Echeler and his team here that are putting this together. Anyway, we help support Allison's office and work very closely with them for regulatory support. So in summary, we support dozens of programs. Here's just a list of some of what I've already mentioned. I did not want to leave out our biostatistics, epidemiology, and research design support, or BIRD. This is embedded within the Center for Innovative Data Analysis on campus that Nicole Carlson and School of Public Health overseas, and you can access them through our website or directly to CETA. And again, they also work closely with Accords if it's more of a research project where Accords should be involved rather than CETA. So I think that completes my presentation, and we'd really like to open it up to any questions that you all may have. So, Wendy?
So, anyone who would like can unmute themselves and ask a question or put a question in the chat.
Is the unmute button working on computers? Christine, can you see if it works?
Thank you. Actually, I will be speaking on behalf of.
Is that working?
Push the button so it's green.
I think it's working now. So a lot of our applicants for pilot grants, they're asking if the postdocs and residents can also become the members of the CCTSI. It's like a recurring question.
So we have membership at different levels, and absolutely we want postdocs and residents and even students to become members of the CCTSI. Besides being able to utilize our programs, we also have a newsletter that you will get on a regular basis, and we have specific announcements that we send. We try to minimize the number of emails, but important announcements we will send to members of the CCTSI. I should mention we have over 6,500 people signed up as members to the CCTSI. So if you haven't signed up, you're really in the minority, and I encourage you to sign up. But we do have different levels of membership. There's no charge to become a member. We also have a public membership for people who aren't at our university, but perhaps work for government or some other public agency. And then we have a membership level for community members, and we have a membership level for private companies, industry, etc. So we really do want to reach out to everybody to become a member so we can stay in close communication. Yes. Do you have the... We'll pass it back to you. Is it on green?
Of these programs. I can see early career investigators or postdocs, fellows, or actually there are huge demands for some of those services, especially from data crunching, writing association. So, study design, those very hands-on work, it then requires a lot of commitment and, hand-holding kind of systems. So I think what happens sometimes is there's also a time crunching, for most projects. So I think it's that when you, how to match that demand and that capacity sometimes is the priority and timeline. All those buckling recommendations onto those action or excitement of basically the pipeline and sitting there moving. So I wonder that as a suggestion or.
Well, and I think that is the essence of the challenge for younger investigators, early stage investigators, residents, those that aspire to be a successful academician in this area of clinical and translational science. So one thing I did mention that we have this co-mentor program, but that's for training mentors and mentees. That's not providing mentorship. However, absolutely key to a successful career, virtually at any level of your career, is to have a mentor or a mentoring team that can provide you that one-on-one guidance and advice and assistance in writing grants and reviewing your grants and providing ideas and what's feasible, what's not feasible, what are various resources that you could tap into on campus or nationally. We do now have a couple of different websites that list various grant opportunities that are available besides NIH grants. And Tom Flagg's Office of Vice Chancellor Research, they've done a great job making these available now. He has somebody's name is Laura Bacini, who's kind of in charge of trying to get more publicized among faculty and trainees the different grant opportunities that are out there. So number one, having a mentor relationship that's working is, I think, absolutely key. Or as you say, you can just get lost with all the various types of responsibilities you may have. Second is to be in a program that supports protected time. Sometimes there is no time for protected time. So when you're doing a clinical rotation and you're, up many hours and working extremely hard, if you're an MD, it's pretty tough to put time aside then to do data crunching, et cetera. But you need to learn time management, which is, again, another skill that very difficult to be successful in academics unless somebody helps you organize your time so you can manage it yourself. So there's a whole bunch of career development skills. We do go through much of this in our various training programs. For instance, the K-12 program that I mentioned, they spend a fair amount of time talking about career skills that aren't necessarily scientific skills, but more work-life balance skills, time organization, conflict resolution, how to run a research team. We also have a fantastic course on managing a research team that Ann Libby and her group put together. It's a Coursera course. I think it's like 8 hours long and really 4 hours. It goes into a lot of great detail about business management and organizational skills around how to run a lab. Not something that you usually take a course in a school or in a graduate program on, but this is available online. I don't believe there's any charge if you're on our campus, and highly recommend it to, again, help with organizational skills and those type of career development activities. So there's a lot that's available. CCTSI, unfortunately, doesn't have the bandwidth to mentor everybody on campus, but hopefully we can link one up with a mentor in case they can't find a mentor. Many of us in our leadership group know the top mentors and other faculty on campus, so we might be able to help. I don't know if anybody else has any comments from our leadership team here. I hope that answered your question.
Mentoring mentees so that they become also more supportive and caring and compassionate mentors themselves to, maybe that can be an idea to expand our capacity, our mentor capacity on campus.
Yeah, and that actually is the precise purpose of the co-mentor program, to train the mentor and the mentee so that they can be a better mentee, but then eventually be a better mentor as their career progresses. And there's now some other mentor training programs on campus that have been organized through the Department of Medicine. Isn't that right, Janine? I don't know if you want to grab that and just mention them.
This one is being set up now, and it will be available on the professional website for the Department of Medicine when it's more broadly available.
Okay, great.
No other questions.
No other questions out there? Okay, well, nothing wrong with giving everybody 10 minutes back, and we really appreciate you all coming to this. We did record, and we will, as long as the recording is without any bugs, we will post this. So if you have colleagues who weren't able to attend, please direct them to our website where we will make it prominently posted. And please feel free to call us or email us at these numbers, or directly get in touch with any of us. You can find all of our contact information once again on the CCTSI website. So I would like to thank Wendy Meyer and Christine, our fantastic communications team, for helping to organize this. And for those of you who didn't come in person, I'm sorry you missed a delicious box lunch that would have been provided to you free of charge.
One question just came in.
A question just came in.
Would you elaborate on whether the mission of CCTSI in this cycle and any new initiatives or goals to accomplish? Then there's a secondary question, any plans for seminars or team science for grant funding?
Yeah, so I did mention that we have a program on leading and teaming to give you in-depth insights as to how to put a research team together, how to lead it better. A lot of very interesting, again, social science in that. So that's where we have invested this particular year in terms of team building. I think team science is something that there's a tremendous amount now that you can get on the internet and YouTube videos and other ways to learn more about it. But we have, again, a specific program. Within our other training programs, our T32 and our K12, there's also teaming information that's provided for the attendees in that specific program. In terms of new initiatives, I didn't mention, but I will mention that our entire grant application for all 4 grants are now posted on our website. So on our homepage, if you scroll about half the way down on the left, there's a blue link that says read our grant, I think. Is that right? It says read our grant. And if you click on it, you will have a PDF of all 4 applications that are now funded by NIH. So you can look there if you have specific questions about initiatives and who's running, how we're organized, etc. Also, you're free to pull any information off of there if you need it to insert your own grant applications. You can refer to our website or not refer to our website. We're really making that information publicly available. There is one other new research program that's part of our new UM1 grant that we're in the process of establishing the infrastructure for, and it will fund pragmatic EHR, electronic health record, embedded clinical trials. And we're trying our first one right now. We're working on the infrastructure, and we'll provide up to $150,000 per year to help fund a 2 or 3 year project. But we're working closely with University of Colorado Hospital IT department, again, to establish the infrastructure, the pathway, et cetera, so that when we do roll it out for applications, everything will be in place. And it'll probably take us a year to get all of that arranged for. So that's our newest initiative. Many of the things that I showed you actually are enhanced and enriched from prior grant cycles. So that's it. All right, well, thanks everybody, and have a great day. We will adjourn.